Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today I will speak about the circulatory system, and this system very important, as a noble system. And the term circulatory system mean the heart and the blood vessel as well as blood, while the cardiovascular system include the heart and the passage, artery or veins. We know in anatomy that the heart is blood pump, and it supply all blood with all body organ with the blood, and it composed of two arteria, the right and the left, and two ventricle, the right and the left, and also the heart have four valves. Two of them are cuspid valve, the bicuspid, also called the mitral, and the tricuspid valve, which separate between the atria and the ventricle. And also we have two semilunar valve. One of them separate the left ventricle from the aorta, and the second one separate between the right ventricle and the pulmonary valve. Also, you see here in the base the blood vessel are attached to the heart, as I listed before, the aorta, pulmonary, and the superior and anterior vena cava. You know that the heart act spontaneously, that has a special system, has a special electric system which control the mechanical and electrical event. This system we call it the conductive system of the heart, and this system include the sinoarteria node, which located in the upper part of the right atrium, and in fact it is a modified cell. It is a cardiac cell modified to nerve cell, and it released the first impulse that gave the first start of life. And we have other node, we call it arterioventricular node, and also we have his bundle of his, or his bundle, which composed of two bundles, the right and the left bundle. And also we have Purkinje fiber, which supply the ventricular and arterial muscle with pulses. And we know that this electrical event lead to contraction and relaxation of heart muscles. We must understand that each fiber or each cell in the body, the membrane, have different charge outside and inside. When the charge are positive outside and negative inside, positive outside and negative inside, we call it the cell membrane at rest potential, that we have no action potential, and it is in rest state. We call it polarized. In this, the first one, in the first illustration, you see that the fiber is in zero potential, and we call it is polarized or polarization phase. Now, if any stimulate the membrane, the charge will be changed. The inner become positive and the outer become negative, and now we have cell membrane depolarized, and there will be action potential, that will be movement. In muscle, the depolarization phase mean contraction, and when it retained back to the normal rest membrane, that I mean the positive charge outside and the negative charge inside, we say that the membrane will be repolarized, it retained to its rest phase. And this explanation make us understand the contraction and relaxation of heart muscle. You know, the heart pump blood via electric and mechanical event. From contraction till relaxation, we call it cardiac cycle. And each cardiac cycle composed of one systole, one contraction, and one diastole, one relaxation. And this is maintain the normal blood pressure. The systole is 120 millimeter of mercury, and the diastole or the relaxation phase or relaxation or diastolic pressure become 80 millimeter per mercury. This is the normal pressure, blood pressure. This cardiac phase have many phases. The first one is arterial systole. That means the arteria contract, and when it contract, it forced blood to the ventricles. And the electrical change here, we have P wave, which is depolarization wave. This is P wave. This is depolarization wave. That means contraction of the atrium, two atrium in the same time. And then when the ventricle systole or when the ventricle contraction, this wave also it is ventricle depolarization. This is arterial depolarization, and this is ventricle depolarization. This is QRS. This wave is QRS. This is related to the different contraction between the two ventricles. They are not equal in their force contraction. And then when the heart reach the phase of relaxation, that means repolarization, the wave here we call it T wave. So T wave is ventricle repolarization, ventricle relaxation. This is the event, or this is the mechanical and electrical event of the cardiac cycle. So here first we have arterial depolarization, and then we have ventricle depolarization, and finally we have ventricle repolarization. These two phases are contraction, and this phase is relaxation. This event recorded from the chest by special lead and recorded by a special instrument, we call it ECG, the electrocardiogram. And this is a graph, this is a paper, we call it ECG, electrocardiograph. Graph means paper. You see here, as I said before, this wave, the first wave, wave P, this is mean arterial depolarization, while QRS mean ventricle depolarization, and T wave mean ventricle repolarization. And all the event here, the mechanical and electrical event, nearly 0.8 seconds. Now, we must know something about heart sound. If you listen to the heart by stethoscope, you hear lap-tap, lap-tap. These sound, or these two main sound, related to the valve closed. That means the sound related to the valve. When the valve closed, they give us the heart sound, not the contraction or relaxation of heart muscle. So, the first sound, we hear it when the bicuspid and tricuspid closed. When these two valves between the atria and ventricle closed, we hear the first sound, clap. And when the semilunar valve, the aortic valve and pulmonary valve closed, we hear the second sound, dub. So the heart sound are related to the closed of heart valve, not for contraction and relaxation of muscle. You see here that the two ventricles contract at the same time, as well as atrial contract at the same time. You see here? You see here, this is the left and right ventricle. They contract and relaxed according to the transmission of electric impulse, which start from the sinoatrial node to the arterioventricular node and then to the Purkinje. This is the contraction and relaxation of the heart. You see here, this is the valve, and this is chordae tendineae, and this is the papillary project, you see, and this is the aorta, this is the superior and inferior vena cava. You see this now, and this is the pulmonary trunk. You see, this is the electrical event. Each beat have this wave, P, Q, R, S, T. Second wave, the wave for 3 beat. This is the normal heartbeat. Now what we have here, we have the systemic circulation, that the transport of blood or blood flow, and we have two circulation of blood. One of them is pulmonary circulation, that the blood from the right pump from the right ventricle to the lung. This is the pulmonary circulation to oxygenate it and retain back then to the left atrium by the pulmonary vein. And the systemic circulation, this is start from the blood flow from the left ventricle to the aorta. Here we have the ascending aorta and then the aorta arch, and give a branch to the head and neck, and then it descend and give a branch of arteries to supply the organ in chest, abdomen, and the lower limb. This is the systemic circulation and the pulmonary. You must differentiate between blood circulation and cardio or cardiac cycle. Now we want to speak about blood pressure. What we mean by blood pressure? Blood pressure mean the pressure of blood on blood vessel wall. The pressure of the blood on the artery walls. Okay? Now, why we have 80 in the diastole and why we have 120 at the systole? You know, in the diastole there is no contraction, and the blood move from the atria to the ventricle without contraction. So the pressure in the artery, this is the aorta or aorta, all blood are 20 millimeter per mercury. But when the ventricle contracts, the pressure in the artery will rise to the 120 millimeter per mercury. So the diastolic is the relaxation pressure, and systole is the high pressure is the systolic pressure related to ventricle contraction. Because we measured arterial pressure, so the pressure in the vessel will be 80 in the diastole and 120 at systole. Now, we have a special mechanism to control the pressure in the body. How? If we have hypotension, that we have low blood pressure, this stimulates the renin hormone secreted from the kidney. Also, it stimulates secretion of aldosterone. The renin change a substance called angiotensin and convert it to angiotensin 2. This is effective, and this angiotensin 2, this cause vasoconstriction. So when the vessel constricted, the pressure will be increased. We have hypertension. While when the hypotension stimulates the adrenal gland to secrete aldosterone increase reabsorption of natrium. I hope you remember it when we study blood fluid. Aldosterone rise reabsorption of natrium or sodium from the renal tubule, and then reabsorb water and lead to increase the volume of the blood in the vessel and lead to increase blood pressure, to rise the blood pressure when we have hypotension. Now, what we mean by cardiac output? Cardiac output means the volume of blood that pumped by the heart from the two ventricles per minute. It is the blood volume which pumped at 1 minute. How we calculate it? The cardiac output equal to stroke volume. Stroke volume is the blood volume that leaves the heart during systole. We must know that at the diastolic period or phase, the ventricle have 130 ml of blood, but not all the heart pump it. It pump only 70 ml, and the 60 ml remain in the ventricle. We call it end systolic volume, and the quantity which leave the heart at ventricle systole, we call it stroke volume. This is stroke volume multiplied by beat per minute. Multiplied by beat per minute. As example, if the heart pulse for a person equal to 78 beat per minute, so the cardiac output equal to 70, this is the stroke volume, multiplied by 78, this is the pulse, and now you see it equal to 5,460 ml, 5 liter and nearly half. This is the quantity of blood in the body. So we must understand that the heart in each minute it pump all blood. You see, in each minute the heart circulate or pump all the body blood. Thank you very much for your lesson.